You are a professional editor. Please analyze this article and help me sort out all the character names that appear in this article. The original text is as follows. The first time I went to my boyfriend's house, his sister-in-law gave me a lipstick she had used as alms. After I refused, my boyfriend got furious at me, saying that I was uncultured and didn't know how to respect others. He also threatened that if I didn't respect his sister-in-law, I would never be able to marry him. So I threw the lipstick on the ground, stepped on it and smashed it to pieces, and gave my boyfriend and his sister-in-law the middle finger. It's so funny. Of course I can't get married. I'm glad it's too late. The excitement starts right away. If you like it, please help and click to subscribe. I bought this lipstick 2 years ago. I used it twice and then put it aside. I'll give it to you. It's not cheap. William's sister-in-law Emma took out a lipstick and said to me as if giving alms. I stared at the MAC lipstick with wide eyes in disbelief. Half of the lipstick was already used. This? Used it twice? I think it was used for 2 years. It's not cheap either. My God, who can't afford a MAC these days? While I was distracted, William secretly kicked me. Olivia, why don't you thank me? I'm giving you this expensive lipstick. I really like you. I frowned and looked at William, asking silently, so expensive? How expensive? Is it more expensive than the diced radish in my bag? You still like me? I think you are just isolating me on purpose. However, what I didn't expect was that William, who was always considerate, seemed not to see my gaze this time. He directly reached out to take the MAC and handed it to me with a smile. She smiled at Emma and said, Sister-in-law, Olivia is so happy. Let me thank you on her behalf. Unexpectedly, Emma raised her eyebrows and said with a half-smile, Doesn't she have hands and a mouth? Why do you have to trouble her? I think you are too pampering her. Be careful that she will take advantage of you in the future. I was unhappy to hear this, and I was unwilling to endure it anymore. So she nodded and said to William, Your sister-in-law is right. I have all my limbs intact. You don't need to worry about me. Put down your lipstick. After I finished speaking, I looked at Emma and said calmly, I don't want this lipstick anymore. It's too expensive. I'm afraid it will rot my lips. You should continue to use it. Emma's face suddenly turned ugly when she heard that. She frowned and looked at William unhappily and said, Is this the girlfriend you're looking for? William's expression was not good either. I thought he would definitely defend me, but I didn't expect him to point the finger at me without thinking. Olivia, what's wrong with you? My sister-in-law gave you a gift with good intentions. Why did you say such harsh words? You are too willful. My anger suddenly rose up, and I retorted without giving in, Good intentions? William, are you blind? Who would give a half-used lipstick as a gift? You're giving gifts to beggars? I can't accept it, it's disgusting. William seemed to have heard something outrageous, his eyes were almost spitting fire, and he said angrily, Olivia. Say it again. I pushed the chair away and stood up, gritting my teeth and saying, I said, I find it disgusting. At this time Emma spoke up, William, forget it, stop arguing. It's my fault as the eldest sister-in-law. I'm annoying. I'd better go back to my hometown. After saying this, she shed a few tears. I was almost struck by lightning when I saw this. Is this person the old sister-in-law or the old green tea? After Emma started crying, the one who reacted the most was William. His eyes almost popped out and the anger in them seemed to burn me out. Olivia. Apologize. William pointed at my nose and ordered through gritted teeth. I shook off William's hand, anger boiling in my heart, and sneered, William, are you okay? William slammed the table hard and threatened, Do you still want to get married? At this time Emma rushed to speak and said, William, don't be angry. Can you blame me for this? I had good intentions, but I didn't expect to be misunderstood. You can't get upset because of me. William turned his head to look at Emma, frowned and said, Sister-in-law, this is just her ignorance. You gave her a gift, but she didn't know what was good for her and spoke badly to you. I couldn't bear to listen anymore, so I picked up the water glass on the table and threw it at William. The cup hit William's chest and rolled to the ground, and the water inside splashed onto his clothes. Have you said enough? I stared at William expressionlessly and asked coldly. I have never been so angry before, and William was stunned. Emma also exclaimed, then rushed over impatiently, wiping the water off William's body while anxiously asking, Are you burned? Does it hurt? I was so uncomfortable watching her, wondering if she was William's sister-in-law or his wife. Whose sister-in-law is so close to her brother-in-law? Don't worry, you won't die. After hearing what I said, Emma turned her head and glared at me, her cheeks flushed with anger, and her lips and chin trembled. Olivia, what right do you have to hit someone? Who do you think you are? It's your good fortune that my William is willing to marry you. Don't go too far. I laughed angrily when I heard this. My good fortune? What? Is your William a royal relative or the richest man in the world? Why was he acting like a dog when he was chasing me desperately? Now he's getting all cocky? I'm telling you, I don't care. After saying that, I picked up the lipstick on the table, threw it on the ground, and stomped on it hard in front of him. William, I thought you were reliable, but you turned out to be a moron. You don't have to worry about it anymore. I'm officially informing you that our marriage is off. Then, I smiled and raised my middle finger to them gracefully, saying word by word, disgusting stuff, bah. After I left William's house, he followed me out. Get out of here, I said coldly, without even looking at William, who was sitting in the passenger seat. William seemed like a different person at this moment, and began to apologize to me in a soft voice. Olivia, please don't be angry, okay? You can hit me or scold me if you want, and it's okay if you cripple me, but you can't ignore me, and you can't cancel the marriage. I looked at William as if I was looking at an idiot. William, are you fucking crazy? Are you crazy? He threatened me with marriage first. William knew he was in the wrong, and he kept apologizing to me carefully. Olivia, I know I was wrong just now, I apologize to you, okay? You don't know, I did that for a reason, I can't help it. Seeing his sad face, I sneered and said nothing. Actually, I was quite curious about what the hell the reason was. Olivia, you know my mom and brother have passed away. My sister-in-law has been running the household for the past few years, and she also has to take care of my elderly dad. Especially when I was in college, my sister-in-law worked very hard to earn money for my tuition and living expenses, and she never complained. She has devoted her entire life to our family. If I still don't know how to repay my kindness, then wouldn't I be a heartless person? I listened silently without saying a word. It sounded pitiful, but I couldn't do whatever I wanted because of that, right? William continued to explain, maybe life is too hard, plus my brother is not around, my sister-in-law has no children, she suffered from depression this year, but even so, I advised her to find a suitable partner, she refused. Oh, my sister-in-law is really pitiful, Olivia, can you pity her and understand me? I was in deep thought without saying anything, but I had already made up my mind to cut my losses in time. To be honest, I am not bad in terms of qualifications, and there are many people pursuing me. William is tolerant and patient enough towards me. I didn't expect that just when we started talking about marriage, such a sister-in-law with ulterior motives would appear. What I couldn't accept was William's attitude. You said that having such a sister-in-law with ill intentions was enough to make me back off, but William still firmly protected his sister-in-law. If I can accept all this, then I won't be called Olivia, I'd just call myself the Virgin Mary. William, how dare you ask me to be understanding? Is it because of me that your sister-in-law is lonely and cold? I should be understanding of her? Why don't you open your eyes and see clearly that it is your sister-in-law who is deliberately bullying me? She dared to do bad things on the first day we met. Will she be in trouble in the future? What a bullshit. You even dared to yell at me. Even my dad never scolded me like that. I tell you, I can't understand, let alone sympathize. William rubbed his hair with a headache, sighed, and said in a low voice, Olivia, that's my sister-in-law, don't say that to her, she is really pitiful, I can't do anything about it. That's easy to do. I raised a cold smile and said calmly, so I'm withdrawing. Isn't it enough for you uncle and aunt to live happily? I, an outsider, won't bother you anymore. William's face changed, and he frowned and said unhappily, Olivia, why do you talk like that? It's too ugly. I was too lazy to listen to him nagging. Get lost, am I saying something rude? Why don't you think your sister-in-law is ugly? I'm telling you I'm such a selfish person, I won't choose this kind of painful marriage with endless troubles. My straightforward and decisive words seemed to have hurt William. He looked at me with a pale face and murmured, Olivia, do you have to be so heartless? I was already in a bad mood, so I had no mood to listen to his nonsense. William, if you had protected me just now, I wouldn't have dumped you like that. You're not going to get out of the car, right? If you don't get out of the car, then I will. Then I got out of the car, slammed the door, and left. After leaving William's house, I asked a friend to help me drive the car back from him the next day. During this period, William called me countless times and sent me countless WeChat messages. I got so annoyed that I blocked all his contact information. Seeing that he couldn't contact me directly, William decided to try a roundabout way to save the situation. When my best friend Chloe called me to ask me out, I was bored, so I agreed readily. When I appeared in front of Chloe dressed up beautifully, she was a little upset and speechless for a moment, her eyes scanning my face like a scanner. Have you forgotten what I look like after not seeing you for a few days? I took off my sunglasses and asked jokingly. Chloe seemed to be hesitant to speak, and asked slowly, I heard that you and William had a fight? I lazily replied, it wasn't a quarrel, it was just a breakup. Chloe. You look so horny, but you don't look like someone who's been heartbroken. Broken heart? I'm not broken-hearted. I should get out of the misery in time. Of course I have to be energetic. I played with the sunglasses in my hand and said calmly. Chloe was completely speechless and tried to probe, I think you are just angry and deliberately leaving William alone. You two have always been a model couple, a typical example of love leading to marriage. Hearing that, I sneered and raised my eyebrows, you don't know who I am. I have never been a love-brained person. The reason I chose William was just because he was nice to me. Of course, it would be a lie to say that I didn't have any feelings for him at all, but this feeling was destroyed by his own hands. I get angry just talking about it. You don't know how ridiculous what happened that day was. Next, I told Chloe everything that happened that day. After listening to me, Chloe burst into swear words and yelled, Are you crazy? They are both psychopaths, that's why I want to end it right away. William, this bastard, actually had the nerve to ask me to be the peacemaker. If I had known about this earlier, I would have slapped him in the face. As she was talking, Chloe suddenly thought of something and looked at me with a guilty expression. Before I could ask, I understood why. Because I saw William walk in. I put on my sunglasses, stood up and prepared to leave. Unexpectedly, William pulled me back. Olivia, please don't be so heartless, okay? Can you give me another chance? William looked quite depressed and his voice was a little hoarse. I looked at his behavior and snorted, Opportunity? Not impossible. William's eyes lit up and he said happily, Olivia, I knew you still love me. But I have a request, that is, you send your sister-in-law away, and don't let her come to our house unless necessary, and don't let her interfere in anything we do. You also have to make it clear to her that if we get married in the future, I will be the hostess, and ask her to understand her status and be polite to me. Is that okay? I folded my arms across my chest and slowly made my request. William hesitated after hearing this. Olivia, she is my sister-in-law. My brother passed away early. I can't just ignore her. I knew he would react like this, but I didn't feel sad. I just smiled coldly and said sarcastically, William, you should just go back to your sister-in-law and stop disgusting me. After saying that, I shook off his hand and strode towards the door of the cafe. However, what I never expected was that William actually knelt down in front of everyone and yelled at me, Olivia. You know I love you the most. We have been together for so long, how can you bear to break up like this? She is my family, can't you accept my family? Suddenly, all eyes in the cafe were focused on us, and some curious people even raised their phones to take videos. I rolled my eyes and didn't pause for a second, instead quickening my pace and leaving the cafe. I don't want to be criticized like a clown on the internet. As for William, he can do whatever he wants. It has nothing to do with me now anyway. Having said that, I still felt angry when I thought about him kneeling down in front of me in public. Was he trying to keep me or to embarrass me? It's too embarrassing. Chloe chased after me, apologizing profusely to me. I know she was also kept in the dark. After all, I didn't announce the news of my breakup with William, so I can't blame her. So I took out my phone and posted a message on WeChat Moments, announcing that I had met the wrong person and was single again. I think now that I've done this much, William should give up, right? However, the facts tell me that he didn't. Not only did he not give up, but he also started to pester me. He started to meet me by chance, downstairs of my house and in front of my company. At first, I planned to turn a blind eye. After all, I couldn't take any coercive measures. But I didn't expect him to become more and more excessive. After work that day, several colleagues from our company went singing together. We were all of similar age and had common topics to chat about, so we had a lot of fun. We also drank some wine and were laughing and joking when we left. But I didn't expect that while I was talking and laughing, someone grabbed me and pulled me to the side. I was caught off guard and almost tripped. When I looked closely, I found that the person who pulled me was William. My colleague had never seen William before, and when he suddenly attacked me, he thought I was a hooligan, so several boys surrounded him. Hey, what are you doing? Let me go. William looked extremely unhappy and angry, shouting at my colleague, none of your business. get out of here. I was furious. I pulled my hand back and yelled, William, are you done yet? Let me go. William yelled at me with anger on his face, Olivia, you seem to be living a carefree life, but do you know what kind of life I have been living during this period? You are still hanging out with these questionable people. I think you are just empty. William's words became more and more unpleasant. I was so angry that I was shaking. I just slapped him and said, William, if you are sick, go to the hospital and get treated. Don't come here and act crazy. My colleagues also understood the situation and looked at each other, not knowing what to do for a moment. However, seeing William's unreasonable behavior and fearing that I would suffer a loss, they did not leave but stood by and stared at William. William touched the cheek that I hit, gnashing his teeth, and said, What? I said it right, are you feeling guilty? I finally see clearly that you don't love me at all, and my sister-in-law is just an excuse for you to get rid of me. Olivia, don't you know how I treated you over the years? How can you be so heartless? Seeing William becoming more and more out of character, I felt angry and embarrassed. After all, my colleagues were all here and I really couldn't afford to lose face. So he suppressed his anger and said to William, Let me go first. We can talk about it when you calm down. William didn't know what had happened to him, and he refused to listen. Stop lying to me. If I let you go now, can you see me again? That is indeed not possible. I snorted in my heart. Let's talk about it now. Have you fallen in love with someone else? Is that bastard right here? Who is it? Point it out to me. Who is it? Looking at William's hysterical appearance, I really thought he was crazy. So he started to struggle. William, get out of here. We've already broken up, what's the point of being like a dog? Let me go. My colleague stopped standing by and came over to help me. Two boys even tried to pull William. William, who was pulled away, glared at us angrily, and finally got so angry that he started to beat the two colleagues who pulled him away. The scene suddenly became chaotic. It was already very late when we came out of the police station. The two colleagues were beaten by William and had bruises on their faces. William was not much better off. In short, both sides suffered losses. However, since it was William who was looking for trouble, he was given a lecture, and my colleague chose to deal with the matter quickly for my sake and did not ask for compensation. I looked at my colleagues with smiles on their faces, feeling ashamed and worried. I kept apologizing and prepared to take them to the hospital. Although I was not the one who beat them, when it comes down to it, this incident was caused by me, so I am indeed to blame. Fortunately, my colleagues are all straightforward and generous people. They comforted me and joked that if William dared to cause trouble to me again, I should call them and they would beat William until he cried next time. After this incident, I am extremely glad that I chose to break up with William. After all these years, I didn't realize that he actually had a violent nature. This is not just a matter of favoritism towards his sister-in-law. He might be a hidden domestic violence man. However, what surprised me even more was that the next day, his sister-in-law Emma came to my company. Olivia, you shameless bitch. How dare you send our William to the police station? Aren't you afraid of being punished by Satan? Emma yelled at me like a shrew, with a ferocious look on her face, and was about to pounce on me and hit me, but was stopped by a colleague who was quick-eyed and quick-handed. To be honest, I never expected Emma would come to my company to cause trouble. I was so angry that I had no place to vent it, but she had the nerve to come and blame me. She thought I would swallow my anger if she came to my company and made a scene, but she was wrong. I won't take the initiative to cause trouble, but I'm definitely not afraid of it. Today, even if I risk being fired and quitting this job, I would rather die than suffer a loss. What do you mean it's my fault? I haven't even bothered to blame William for the stalking and the fight, and you still dare to come to me? Do you think it's reasonable for the bad guy to complain first? Emma didn't expect that I would have the guts to confront her in public. Her expression became even more ferocious, and she said angrily, Can William be blamed for this? If you hadn't been flirting with William as your lover, would he have fought? You are the culprit. Hearing her insulting me, I didn't hold back. I've seen shameless people, but I've never seen anyone as shameless as you. Why don't you reflect on your lack of self-respect as a sister-in-law? If you hadn't threatened me from the beginning, would I have broken up with you? William is incompetent and has a pair of eyes, but can't tell right from wrong. He was led by you by the nose. He deserves to be single for the rest of his life. Emma was so angry that she was shaking. She pointed at me and couldn't speak clearly. How dare you say that to William, you ungrateful bitch? I'm wrong? I was wrong before. Now it seems that William is a piece of shit, and you are a troublemaker. You two should be a perfect match. Emma was speechless because of my retort. Her chest was heaving violently with anger and her eyes were almost spitting fire. You shameless bitch. I'm going to beat you to death. Looking at Emma, who looked like a crazy woman, I curled my lips and said coldly, want to hit someone again? If you have the guts, come over and hit me. Your brother-in-law just came out of the police station. Do you want to go in and take a look? But I tell you, before I go into the police station, I will tear your dirty mouth apart first. If you don't like it, come over and try. I said this with such force and authority that Emma became a little timid and stopped struggling to hit me, but she still refused to give up. You vicious woman, our William was blind to fall for you, a shameless woman like you should just get lost. At this time, the security guard also rushed over, grabbed Emma, and kicked her out. Emma was dragged away involuntarily, but she still screamed hysterically like a shrew, aren't you afraid of bankruptcy for keeping such a bad bitch? What a lousy company. Bah, you hire anyone, it's obvious that this is not a respectable job. I couldn't bear it any longer, and at this time the manager also came over after hearing the noise. I didn't care about anything else and rushed up to slap Emma twice in the face. Emma struggled to pounce again, how dare you hit me? Shameless bitch, I'll kill you. I sneered, okay, let's go. There's a police station and a hospital nearby. We can either go to the police station to discuss your crime of provoking trouble and slandering others, or we can go to the hospital and fight you to the death. Let's go. In a rage, my voice was sonorous and powerful, and my eyes were filled with a ruthlessness that allowed me to risk my life. Emma could see that I wasn't trying to scare her, so she lost in terms of momentum. But he still said stubbornly, Humph, I won't bother with you today. If you dare to mess with my William again, I will not let you go. I shouted directly, if you don't get out of here, I will not let you go. Emma finally shut up and ran away. I let out a long breath. You want to compete with me? Did you get kicked in the head by a donkey? As long as I am tough enough, no one can make me suffer. My manager and colleagues were shocked by me. They probably didn't expect that a usually weak little girl could have such strong explosive power and even subdue the shrew. Several colleagues who were on good terms with me came over to comfort me and advised me not to be angry. After I quickly calmed down, I bowed to my manager and colleagues and apologized, I'm really sorry. I have brought a negative impact to everyone and the company. I will take responsibility and resign now. In the end, I was unable to resign. The manager was a reasonable man, and after hearing the whole story, he not only did not hold me accountable, but also comforted me in a kind voice and warned me to be careful when looking for a partner in the future. That's well said. We have to keep our eyes open, otherwise it would be terrible to be entangled by someone like William. I also have to admit that William is pretty thick-skinned. After all these messy events, he appeared in front of me again as if nothing had happened. He stands guard at the gate of our community every day with a bouquet of roses in his hand. He is more dedicated than our community security guard. As for why he didn't enter the community, it's because I have informed the property management. If they dared to let this person in, I would definitely sue them. Therefore, the security guards at the gate of the community were guarding against him like a thief, and it was impossible for him to get in. I was really annoyed by being harassed like this every day, and I even had the urge to call the police. So when he stopped me this time, I simply stopped walking. William, are you bored? William smiled and said in a gentle voice, I'm not bored, I'm chasing a wife. I shook my head and said calmly, you clearly know that there is no hope for us. Even if you go back to school and start over, it won't be possible. So please have some shame. If you harass me like this again, I will really call the police. William seemed to have suffered a huge blow. His face turned pale and his body swayed slightly. He looked at me and pleaded pitifully, Olivia, I know you are angry that I hit your colleague, but it was because I loved you too much. I couldn't bear to see you get close to others. I was so jealous that I was going crazy, so I couldn't control myself. I know I was wrong, and I will never make this mistake again. Can you please not leave me, at least give me another chance to perform, okay? Maybe I was completely disappointed with William, so when I heard him speak such affectionate words, I felt no ripple in my heart. Olivia, if you really don't like my sister-in-law, then I will let her go back to her hometown and never let her appear in front of you again. Olivia, I will agree to everything you say, let's make peace, okay? I looked at William expressionlessly, are you done? After a pause, I continued calmly, do you know how I feel when I see you and hear you speak? It's disgusting. William, can't you save some dignity for yourself? What hatred or grudge do you have to make yourself look bad to disgust me? Seeing William on the verge of collapse, I continued to increase my firepower and said, "You have repeatedly allowed your sister-in-law to suppress and bully me. If I were a softer person, I don't know how much I would have suffered. Not to mention that she is your sister-in-law, I would not accept her even if she was your own mother. And you are not qualified to come to me to pretend to be pitiful and ask for sympathy, because you don't deserve it. The root of all this is you. So I beg you, can you please disappear from my sight?" William stared at me blankly, smiled desperately, and said, "Olivia, you are cruel. I spent so much time pursuing you, but you kicked me out in just one meal. Whose life is not a mess? Why do you have to be perfect? Okay, I'm leaving. I'll wait and see how satisfying your marriage life will be with your temper and demands." I complained silently in my heart, "Then I won't get married. If you know there is a fire pit ahead and still jump in without hesitation, wouldn't that be stupid?" Since then, William has completely disappeared from my life, which makes me feel a lot more relieved. However, not long after that I heard something from my friend that shocked me. After William broke up with me, he took his sister-in-law back to his hometown. After finding a job, he started going on blind dates non-stop at the urging of his father. In the end, he met a pretty good girl and both parents were satisfied. Just when they were preparing to discuss marriage, an accident happened. Of course, this accident was still caused by his sister-in-law. But unlike the last time when she tried to intimidate me, this time she went straight to William. One night, she got William drunk on the pretext of something, and then she sneaked into William's room in the middle of the night and offered herself to him. Even more unfortunate was that when a relative went to their house the next day and saw that neither Emma nor William got up, William's father opened William's door and prepared to wake him up first. Unexpectedly, when he opened the door, he saw his sister-in-law and brother-in-law sleeping in the same bed. This caused a lot of excitement, as so many people caught them sleeping in the same bed. William felt as if struck by lightning, and Emma covered her face and cried. No one knew what happened between them that night, but they did sleep in the same bed. William's father was so angry that he fainted on the spot and was admitted to the hospital. As the saying goes, good news doesn't travel far, but bad news travels far and wide, especially this kind of romantic scandal between sister-in-law and brother-in-law, which spread throughout the small town in an instant and became known to everyone. So, William's marriage naturally fell through again. Not only that, after such a scandal, I'm afraid William won't be able to find a wife. This really fulfilled Emma's wish. My friend said that William and Emma continued to live under the same roof. Although the details were unknown, people had already determined that they had broken free from the shackles of worldly life. After listening to it, I was so shocked that I couldn't recover for a long time. Although I always felt that Emma was too close to William, and William was too indulgent towards Emma, based on my values, I would never have such dirty speculations, but such a shocking thing actually happened. How should I put it? I don't know whether to sympathize with William for ruining the rest of his life. We should still condemn Emma for her ill intentions. All I can say is that there are all kinds of birds in a big forest. But what I should be most thankful for is that I had a clear mind and broke up with William as soon as possible, otherwise I would definitely have become a victim. Not long after that, I received a MMS from an unknown number. I opened it out of boredom and found it was a photo. In the photo, William is sitting on the sofa with his eyes closed and sleeping, looking tired, while Emma is leaning beside him, looking at the camera with a smug and provocative look on her face. I rolled my eyes speechlessly, then immediately clicked delete and blocked the number. I'm a psychopath. After a while, I heard about William and Emma from my friends again. After all, after such a scene, William and Emma are now famous figures, so their relatives, friends, and neighbors are paying special attention to their movements. Originally everyone thought that things had come to this point, and whether William was willing or not, he had no choice but to live with Emma. But the peaceful days did not last long. Because of his ruined reputation, William became withdrawn, and coupled with repeated setbacks in his career, he even started drinking. Then he went home and quarreled with Emma. Emma was not an easy person to deal with, so the two of them quarreled fiercely. Then, William started to work. As the saying goes, there are only 0 times and countless times of domestic violence. Emma was often beaten black and blue, and sometimes the noise of their fights could be clearly heard by the neighbors next door. Their days were in chaos and disorder. I breathed a sigh of relief. What did I say? William is a hidden violent person. Sure enough, he has become a domestic violence man, right? This is the treasure that Emma tried every means to snatch away. Wow. What else can I say? I wish them happiness forever.